This is a geopolitical analysis of global trade chokepoint vulnerability and economic escalation risk, focusing on critical waterways, such as the Strait of Hormuz.
The First World War began with a single moment: the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand on June 28, 1914. But that moment did not stay isolated. Within weeks, alliances activated. Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. Soon, Germany, Russia, France, and the United Kingdom were drawn in. The chaos that followed lasted over 1,500 days, cost millions of lives, and collapsed entire empires. The Second World War began differently. On September 1st, 1939, Nazi Germany invaded Poland, a direct act of aggression. Within days, Britain and France responded. The war spread across continents, into Europe, Africa, Asia, and the Pacific. By 1945, over 70 million people had died, and entire economies were devastated. Cities destroyed, industries erased, global power reshaped. Present-day question. Now, this is 2026, and the question is no longer how past wars began, but how the next one might, because history does not repeat exactly, but it evolves. What if the next global conflict does not begin with an assassination or an invasion? What if it begins somewhere less visible, but far more critical? Not on land, but on water. Not with soldiers, but with ships. The global lifelines. Today, over 90% of global trade by volume moves across the world's oceans. That includes energy, food, raw materials, manufactured goods, everything that powers modern life. The Strait of Hormuz alone carries around 20% of the world's daily oil supply. That's millions of barrels every single day. The Red Sea connects Europe to Asia, handling trade worth billions of dollars daily. These are not just waterways, they are the lifelines of the global economy. The pressure building. Right now, those lifelines are under pressure. Tensions are rising, military presence is increasing. Disruptions are becoming more frequent. At first, it seems regional, contained. But global systems don't work that way. When one key route is threatened, the entire system reacts. The economic shockwave. Imagine this scenario. A major waterway becomes unsafe. Oil supply drops suddenly. Prices spike, fast. Not by small margins, but by 20%, 30%, even higher within weeks. Shipping costs surge. Insurance premiums for vessels skyrocket. Companies begin rerouting ships, adding thousands of extra miles. That means higher fuel costs, slower deliveries, increased prices for everyday goods. Food becomes more expensive. Electronics take longer to arrive. Industries slow down. A prolonged disruption could cost the global economy hundreds of billions, even trillions of dollars. Infrastructure and system breakdown. Ports begin to experience congestion. Supply chains weaken. Factories dependent on imported materials slow or shut down. Energy shortages begin affecting entire regions. And this is where the real danger begins. Economic stress turns into political pressure. Political pressure turns into military decisions. Escalation chain reaction. This is how escalation unfolds, not instantly, but step by step. A disruption, a response, a counter-response. Each side acts to protect its interests. Each action appears justified. Each move is controlled until one moment it isn't. Because when global trade is threatened, major powers do not stand aside. They intervene to secure routes, to protect economies, to maintain influence. And when multiple powers enter the same space, tension multiplies. The fragility factor. These waterways are narrow, strategic, and extremely difficult to replace. There are no easy alternatives. If even one major route is blocked or becomes unsafe, the ripple effect spreads globally. Energy markets destabilize. Trade slows. Inflation rises, economies strain, and under that level of pressure, mistakes become inevitable. Core question. So now the question becomes unavoidable. If the need to protect these routes continues to grow, and the incentive to disrupt them increases, could the war on waterways evolve into something much larger? Could it stretch beyond regions and pull global powers into direct confrontation? Closing. World wars do not always begin with dramatic announcements. Sometimes they begin quietly, with disruption, with pressure, with a system slowly tightening until something finally breaks. And when it does, it may already be too late to stop. This has been World War III, The War on Waterways, presented by Hidden World Order. If this analysis gave you a deeper perspective, subscribe, like, and share. Because behind every global event, there is always more than meets the eye.